Hello and welcome back to the Reapers. Today we're in our F-14B Tomcat and we're looking at air-to-air refueling and general fuel management. So the first thing we're going to look at is our fuel quantity meter here. At the top here we've got our bingo. This is set in pounds of fuel and we can change it by hovering over this guy here, and we can use the mouse scroll wheel to adjust or the left click and drag, and that sets our bingo. And then if our total fuel quantity here gets below that bingo, then the cockpit will give us a warning that we need to turn to base and go home. Next is the total amount of fuel we've got here. That includes all of our tanks, including external. The Tomcat has roughly 20,000 pounds available, assuming that we've got external tanks on, which we do have here. And that's roughly spread between a front fuselage tank, a rear fuselage tank, a left wing tank, a right wing tank, and the external tanks. So this total here is all of those tanks put together. Here we have the left fuel feed, currently at 1,800 pounds. Here we have right fuel feed, 1,800 pounds. Here we have the fuselage and feed gauge. So what it's saying is on this tape here, we've got this amount, thousands of pounds, in the aft fuselage and left feed. So that is 5,800. And then on this side, we've got 6,200 pounds in the front fuselage and right feed. And we want to see those two tapes roughly together. They'll rarely be perfectly together, but roughly together, as not to upset the balance of the aircraft too much. Now we can also request to see the external tank quantity left and the wing tank, so we can do that now. We press and hold a left click on this guy here. We are now viewing the external quantity in the external tank, so we've got 1,500 pounds here and 1,000 pounds here, and these will change a lot. There's a lot of interplay that goes on between these tanks, and they'll automatically balance each other out, etc. as we go. There's also, in fact, let's just take a note of that for interest, 1,500 and 900. Okay, and now let's press and hold the right button, and we got the wings, and that is 100 pounds in the left and 100 pounds in the right. I'm looking at this and this here, by the way. So out of interest, why don't we do a quick calculation to make sure everything adds up? So we've got roughly 12,000 pounds in the fuselage here, plus 900 pounds in the right external, plus 1,500 in the left external, plus 100 in each wing tank. If we add that up, that's going to give us a total of 14,600 pounds, and that's exactly what we've got there. So that's how you can view all of the different tanks and then see how it's come up with that total figure there. Now, like I said, we want to keep these two tanks roughly balanced, otherwise we're going to have problems with our weight distribution. So if we're having a problem with that, we've got this chap here, our fuel balance in terms of fuselage. We can flip this cover up. It's currently on normal, so normal operation, but we could have that forward bias, normal, or aft bias. And we're just going to keep it in normal for the time being, and when we put the cover back down, it'll automatically default back to normal. So the normal is basically the computer is going to try and drain each tank's equally, but we could bias the forward or we could bias the aft if we wanted to equal these out more. Now, like I said, a lot of fuel transfers happening automatically between the wing tanks, the external tanks, and the two fuselage tanks. And we have a bit of control of that regards this guy here. As default, we will have auto operation. This means that the fuel transfer will happen, but only when the gear is up and retracted, so you know, when we're in the air. We can go to override, which means that the fuel transfer between external wing and fuselage tanks will happen regardless of whether the gear is out or not. And we can have off, and this cuts all fuel transfer between wings, externals, and fuselage tanks. I'm yet to find a reason why we'd want to do that, but that is there for use. Next, we've got the fuel dump switch, so that's off here. If we were to turn that in dump, and assuming that we're obviously airborne, gear is up, and the air brake is fully turned off, fully retracted, then we can dump the fuel through the beaver tail, so dump on there. And that is then dumping our fuel at a fierce rate of knots. You see, we're down to 1,200 already, so let's turn that off for now. And we've then got the refueling probe here. So we've got in the down position is retract, so it's obviously retracted into the body. Next, we've got two upper positions, which are the extended positions where the probe will come out. We've got fuselage here, where it will only fill the tanks in the fuselage, and all at the very top here, which is the one we're going to want to use, where it will fill all of the tanks, including wing and external tanks. So the next thing we're going to do is unpause. We're going to contact the tanker, and I've got easy communications on just to make this a simple video, so we're going to contact them that way. Comms menu, tanker, intend to refuel. Yes, I'm aware he's a Russian and the irony of that, but it was just Easy to do, so I've contacted him. Now note that to contact him, if easy communications was not turned on, then we would use our radio, probably our ARC 159 radio here. And to do that, I've got a full video on using the radios, or the Rio can use the ARC 182 in the back. Next, we've got to locate him, and the normal way of locating a tanker is he will usually be transmitting a TACAN signal, and we can use our TACAN navigation system to get the distance and the heading to him. And again, we've got a video on how to use the TACAN to find him. So in this case, I'll just go and find him manually because I know he's just a couple of miles away. Okay, I've located the tanker now. I'm going to merge on him and match his speed, which I believe is just over 300 knots IAS. Now, assuming that there are other aircraft in the queue for this tanker, and assuming that they are currently tanking on the tanker at the moment, the first thing I'm going to do is get in line, and that means I'm going to be on the left side of the carrier. So in formation, a few hundred feet separation on the left side of the carrier, waiting for my turn. Once we've then fueled with the carrier, we'll move to the right side, which is where we'll wait for the rest of our flight. Okay, so it's now our turn to go and tank, so we're going to have our probe out and to the full position so that we can fill all tanks. You can see our probe just to the right there. We're going to move behind the tanker now and close in formation. I'm not sure why it's presenting me with 3 nozzles. I've never seen this before, but let's just go with it. Then when we're right behind the tanker, we're going to comms menu, we're going to make another call. And we're going to ready pre-contact. And I guess we can go on any 3 of these, so let's go for this left one here. Just drive it right at the fuselage slightly. It's lots of small movements.
Just a bit to the right.
Lots of small movements in the stick, small movements in the throttle, and we never really stop moving the stick. We never really stop adjusting the throttle. It's something we're going to constantly do as long as we've got full manual control, which is what we're going to be doing today. That looks pretty good. Oh, would you believe it? Panicked at the last minute.
Just a bit to the left.
Try that again, shall we? We're in.
That's it, the fuel's coming.
Now it's really hard to judge the position because of the A-frame of the F-14. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just try and keep an eye on the fuel unit dangling from the wing. As long as I can see that light there, the green means
fuel 12,500.
Means that I'm not moving forwards or backwards. And if you can see, if I do move forwards or backwards, I'll get a warning light flashing in amber, either inwards or outwards, and then if it becomes red, one of those lights, then I've gone too far. So as long as I'm keeping in the green, I'm generally going to be okay. And oh, I've lost it. Blast. Never mind. This happens. We're going to back off now and go again.
You got this, man. Whoops, you almost had it, man.
Find the basket, in we go again, and this may take a few goes to get this right, but that's just the nature of it.
Little right. Just a bit to the right.
And that was what we call PIO, pilot-induced oscillation.
You almost had it. You got this. You got this.
You see the plane jerking about. We're supposed to be getting in the dirty air from the big plane, obviously.
Little right.
Bring it up so we can see the...
Good, you're in.
So we just keep that pylon right at the top of our HUD now. It's a lot harder when this plane is banking to the side. It's much nicer if he was going straight, but...
Fuel 14,500.
Ah, bloody hell.
I felt turbulence, I swear.
One more go. This time I'm going to add a little bit of down trim to hopefully stop me rising up so much.
Just a bit to the right. Little right. Just a bit to the right. Nice, we're taking fuel.
Well, it's got a bit more down trim this time. Let's see if we can stop it rising upwards. That seems to be our main problem. We're also a little far out, so let's just move in a little bit.
Fuel 15,500.
Too far in. When they all flash like that, it usually means that we've finished taking fuel, but let's just carry on and see what happens. Unfortunately, I can't really look down at my gauge.
Fuel 17,000.
I can't really look down at the gauge.
Fuel 18,000. Fuel 19,000.
Right, I'm starting to get the hang of this now. I see how she has to fly. Now, rather than me try and describe how you do it, I've just shown the controls on the bottom left, and you can make an idea of what kind of stick movements I've got. FYI, I've got 25 curve on all of my axes.
Fuel 20,000.
Just about it. And that's it. Ooh, that's a relief.
We're full. Reel it in.
Okay, we're going to back off.
Just a bit to the left.
And over to the right now, where we're going to wait for the rest of our flight. When our flight's done, that's it. Full burn and we're off. So that's fuel management and how to air-to-air refuel. Sorry that it was so pig ugly. That was actually my first go I've ever tried in this plane. I'm so busy in my private life at the moment. I don't have time to practice anything. General speaking, general impressions from first attempt, really easy. Honestly, if I could do that at first go, you know, anyone with a reasonable amount of skill could do that. It's much easier than just about all of the other planes, so I'm really happy about that, actually. Nothing else to say about that. I know we do have a certain amount of autopilot and power control in this aircraft, but that was the manual method of doing it anyway. Oh, and don't forget to put this away when you're finished. Right, I hope that helps, guys, and I'll see you later.